going to determine whether you're sick or if you're well. So if you change up your lifestyle to heal your body, guess what? You will heal, and then you grow older without having the same issues as everyone else.
No doubt. Yeah. I mean, and also too, like, you're mentioning like some of our, some of the things that we do in our clinic with, nutrition and some of the things that we do with health in general. The bottom line is this: we want to make sure that we are giving everybody an individualized, look at what we can do to heal their body and allow their bodies to function the way that they're supposed to. So, if you're joining us now on Facebook Live, again, guys, you can ask your questions there. You can also, like and follow our page. We're always doing live stuff there at Drs. Warren, DRSWARREN on Facebook. And again, you can come see our pretty faces. Sometimes pretty face. I don't know. Sometimes we just wake up with crazy kiddos and hop in here, throw a hat on, and go for it. But, again, guys, this is one of our favorite things to do throughout the week. So as we're going through this information, if you hear something that you want, more information on, or if you want to come in and see us, guys, we always set aside a certain amount of appointments for our radio show. And again, when you come in, it's very, very simple. We are going to evaluate you from a nervous system standpoint, from a nutritional standpoint, and from looking at your lifestyle and say, hey, what can we do to help optimize the function of your body overall? And once we put that stuff together, guys, that's how we're able to see people get off of 7, 8, 9 different medications. I'll never forget, Teresa was probably the most medications we've ever had somebody get off of, and I think 16, 17? Yeah. So that was super wild. So again, guys, the bottom line is your health can get better. Your health can improve. You were designed and created to heal. So if you want one of those appointments throughout the show, all you got to do is give Mary Beth a call. That number is 423-362-5360. Again, that's 423-362-5360. And you can get set up with an appointment. Come in and see us, right?
Absolutely.
All right.
So let's go in. How do you heal? Like, how do you eat to heal your body? How to balance your hormones? I do group coaching with women, and I love it because I get to walk alongside with a group of women and help them transform their health. But it's funny because when they eat, they lose weight. And I don't sell this, or I don't say like, hey, come see me because you're going to lose weight. But weight loss resistance for men or women is a sign, it is a major sign of hormone imbalance and that there's a problem. So if you're weight loss resistant, meaning you're starting to gain weight, even though you haven't changed anything, or meaning that, like you're eating the same and you're starting to gain weight, but you can't lose it when you start to change, weight loss resistance is a major hormone red flag. And so what I see is that men, when you did your men's talk, a lot of men are gaining weight, especially around the belly, and they think it's kind of, getting older. But that's a big red flag for heart disease, diabetes, testosterone issues, prostate issues when you're gaining weight like that. So the first thing, listen, I know your neighbor's doing keto. You know someone at your church that's doing keto. Your your kid's bus driver's doing keto, and they tell you about how they lost all this weight, and it's really, really remarkable. Yeah, you know what? When you cut out crap, you're going to lose weight. Yeah, right? Like, a lot of people that they get on keto, they're getting rid of the chips and they're getting rid of the bread. I mean, your body's like, thank you, Jesus. Like, of course I want to lose weight. But the problem is this. This is what I find all the time. What happens when you stop eating keto? A majority of these people, when they stop eating keto, they'll gain it back, or they start feeling like crap again. And it's because they do keto in a way that's not used to heal their body. Because I've been added to keto groups on Facebook, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're losing weight, but you're creating heart disease with all these artificial sweeteners and canola, and like you're just eating all this junk meat and junk fat, and great, you're going to lose weight because you're not eating a lot of processed stuff as you used to, but you're not going to be well if you cannot come off of it. Are you guys ready for this? If you're doing keto, you are not meant to stay in ketosis. Most of you guys don't even know what being in ketosis is, or even know because you're not testing yourself. But you're not meant to stay in ketosis long term. you're meant to live off of diet variation.
Yep, that's so true. And also too, like you mentioned, like, you know, you kind of start this process because you hear, you know, ketogenic diet is good. And just so you guys know, and you know, we're talking about this, we also believe that there's a time and a place to do a ketogenic diet and to do it appropriately. But again, you just jump in, and the next thing you know, these people, you're doing a ton of like bacon and a ton of cheese and a ton of just conventional dairy, and it's like, holy smokes. So like, yeah, you may lose some weight at first, and like you said, because you're cutting out like the bread and the chips and some of the processed carbohydrates, but at the end of the day, right, again, the whole purpose of the ketogenic diet, at least in my book, is to heal at a cellular level, right, to retrain your metabolism to be able to burn fat when there's a lack of carbohydrates, and when there is glucose and carbohydrates, to put that glucose into your muscles and into your brain, right? And so, the bottom line is, ketogenic diet is not a weight loss diet, all right? Nope. Ketogenic diet is used to actually, again, to create a healthy metabolism, really good insulin sensitivity, but then also, too, it's used to heal the nervous system, right? It's one of the most powerful things that it's known for, and it's actually been known, since I think it was 1923, when they first started using a ketogenic diet specifically for epilepsy, right, and seizures. And unfortunately nowadays, if you go in and see a neurologist, they're going to try at least 4 drugs before they say, hey, maybe with your child we should try a ketogenic diet. Isn't that, it's insanity.
Yeah, someone
really.
Actually told us that their child was having like epilepsy and seizures. And the doctor said, before I can recommend doing something like keto, we have to try 4 different drugs, and if they fail, then we can go into that.
I mean, because that's insane. Radical, right? It's radical to say, hey, maybe you should change your diet to affect your physiology. Instead, I'm going to use some chemicals to affect your physiology that, they've been tested a little bit. Have they been tested on kids? No. Have they been tested, long term? Probably not. Wait, they went through a 7-year or 10-year, medical trial? Well, that's got to be clad iron safe, right? Because it's not like, Vioxx went through a 7 to 10-year, medical trial, passed, and then killed 65,000 people. Yeah. It's not like, lisinopril, 3 different versions of it over the last 12 months have been recalled because, it may have caused kidney cancer. So again, we take this approach that says, you know what? Mankind, so much better than God does, like when it comes to our health. Like, we should probably just rely on everything that man has created, in order to take care of our health and try to transform our health. And guess what that's doing? It's failing you. It's making us sick. And it's failing you hardcore.
And let me go ahead and tell you this. If you guys are on Facebook and you share an article about how keto has higher mortality rate than someone who eats carbs. If you're going to share that, if you're going to say keto is not safe, can you please at least go into the article and go click on the research study that they're referencing it? Could you read it first before you start sharing this crappy information? Because let me go ahead and tell you, I've seen it a lot. I've had practice members bring it in and like, oh my gosh, look at this. My sister sent me this or whatever. Okay, the studies that these registered dietitians are showing, actually someone shared an article and it was a registered dietitian who was selling her program and she referenced the study. Number 1, if you go to the study about how eating low carb, mind you, it's not keto. If you're eating low carb, it's going to increase your mortality than if you ate carbs. Number 1, it was a survey, okay? Number 1, it was a survey of like 10,000, 20,000 people. I don't even know. It was this high number. Congratulations, they did a survey. Number 2, if you look at the article, it does not distinguish between low carb and high protein versus low carb and high fat. So when you're eating to heal your body, you're going to do low carb, high fat, moderate protein. It's different. And finally, they don't distinguish between, are a lot of these people eating, like most of you guys out there doing keto, are they eating rancid, denatured dairy, like cow's milk? All they eating is bacon from pigs that have been kept in a cage? Yeah. Have they been eating cow meat that's been injected with antibiotics and vaccines? And even if they have like an infection in their head, the rest of the meat is usable.
That's disgusting.
So this all makes a difference. Yeah. If you don't think that grass-fed beef, organically raised, outside as animals should be, not stressed out versus meat that's stressed out in a cage, if you don't think that makes a difference in your body, and you haven't looked at studies, then you haven't looked at healing your body. There's a major difference. So those studies are crap. And if you have a new one and you're like, no, but this one is a good one, send it to me on Facebook and I will show you why it's crap. But that's what we're going to talk about today. We have to get back to the way that God created us to eat and to heal. And then there's that percentage of people that need extra help to go deeper. That's what we're here for.
For sure.
And if that's you, if you're like, man, I've done keto or I've tried this way of eating and I'm hitting this roadblock or I'm resistant, give us a call, guys. During our radio show, we have special appointments, just 45 instead of the regular 120. You can give Mary Beth a call. That number is 423-362-5360. Again, that's 423-362-5360. We work with the nervous system. We work with functional nutrition and detoxification. This is the Wellness Radio. We'll see you guys right after the break.
Good morning, guys. I hope you guys are all doing great. Today we're going to be talking about nutrition and how it can heal the body. And so we started off talking a little bit about ketogenic diet. And so, it's interesting because the way we talk about it, depending on where you're joining in, may sound like at first we're like, well, maybe the ketogenic diet's not a great thing. And then maybe, ketogenic diet is everything. We kind of do that on purpose because a ketogenic diet is a powerful tool. Can you get me to turn that down, please? So the ketogenic diet is a powerful tool. And so it's so powerful that it can actually work on healing the nervous system, balancing hormones, doing a great job, but it's how you do it. And then with the recognizing that it's not something that you're going to do for the rest of your life. That it's something that you're going to do for a period of time to allow the body to heal, to make some major differences in your nervous system and in your hormones. And then we're going to see it actually, again, cycle out of it and reduce, back into eating some healthy forms of carbohydrate. And even in that, we don't have to still go overboard with the amount of carbohydrates that we are consuming. So we want to make sure that, again, when we're looking at utilizing ketogenic diet, that we're using it cyclical. So that means we're having periods of time where we're going in and out of ketosis appropriately. That is a great way to do it. That's called diet variation. And so once I get somebody where they're metabolically flexible, so that means, when we're talking about things like, people with insulin resistance, diabetes. So getting people metabolically flexible means getting them to a point where their insulin is produced appropriately and putting sugar or glucose into the cells, and that you don't have an abundance that, number one, is staying in the bloodstream, number two is creating oxidative damage to your vessels, or number three is being stored in adipose tissue. So we want to make sure that we are able to be metabolically flexible. Once we're at that point, then I like to teach people actually how to vary their diet just in the same week. So we teach people how to do that, or for some people, depending on if they're an athlete or not, how to actually, again, really help to improve, when we're talking about, actually doing higher carbohydrates even in the evening with time restricted feeding. So we do a lot of different things to vary the diet throughout the day and throughout the week. All right. So that being said, when we're talking about a ketogenic diet throughout the show, just recognize that we want to make sure that we utilize it appropriately, and then we utilize it, again, for good, proper reasons, which will be absolutely fantastic. All right. So when we're going into nutrition, I want to let you guys know nutrition was one of those things that absolutely transformed my life and my health. I guess you could go back almost 13 years now. And I'll never forget that one of the first dietary changes that I made, that I saw just drastically impact the overall health of my body, my brain, getting rid of brain fog, seeing major improvements in my sinuses and my allergies, was getting rid of conventional dairy. That was the first major step in my health that I did, was get rid of conventional dairy. And it made a drastic difference in how my body actually handled not only stress, but dealt with, again, when my immune system had been compromised by a virus or bacteria. Just major improvements overall in my health just by getting rid of conventional dairy. And we'll dive more into that here in just a minute.
Good morning, guys. Welcome back to the Wellness Radio. Dr. Nathan and Dr. Rebecca Warren here. We're here every Saturday morning from 10 to 11. You can find us on Facebook at Drs. Warren or at drswarren.com. We do the Wellness Radio to equip you with the right tools so that you can transform your health. And then we're also here as a resource for those of you guys that want to go deeper. We have that health center here in Hamilton Place, and we do virtual health coaching all over the U.S. So today we're talking about healing your body. How do you eat to heal? There's so many, diets out there and so many differing opinions. Dr. Nathan's going to go deeper into this, but this is what I want you guys to know. They're like, well, they told us that fat was bad, and then they told us that, fat was good. Listen, if you want to keep it as simple as possible, go back to the way of eating, the way God created you to eat. How about go back to the way of eating that our ancestors ate when there wasn't any heart disease and cancer and Alzheimer's and dementia? Why would you think that butter from a cow that was outside, when people ate butter forever, that was outside in the sun and grass, is worse than something that's made in a lab, like margarine, that's like one molecule away from plastic? In the end, you need to go back to the way that we used to eat. And that also includes diet variation, like eating in a way that your diet varies. The problem nowadays is that we can eat whatever we want, whenever we want, however we want. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's in season. You can get it in from Mexico. And that's wild because we lived at a time that we grew our own food, that we processed our own food. So there was, a more of a, you were aware of what you could eat.
We foraged what was in our own environment.
Yeah, you foraged what was in your own environment. So there's this connection with the earth. You ate what was given to you. And the crazy thing is, now science is like, whoa, our body really, really likes that. We excel in eating seasonally. We excel with eating locally. But the truth is, we have to take a step back and realize the way that we're eating, how much we're eating, how often we're eating is toxic.
Yep. And the other thing, too, that I've heard before, well, Dr. Nathan, the rise of heart disease, cancer, all those things, it's linked to eating meat, right? And I've heard people say that before. But here's what I like to point out. So in the 1920s, actually, the rate of cancer in the United States was 0.5% of the population, right? 0.5% of the population. The rate of cancer right now for across men and women is about 37 to 38%, right? 50% of men, I guess it'd be around 33% because one in three women with cancer. So we've seen those numbers drastically rise and get worse. And so you say, well, that's because of meat. Can you tell me how many vegans were alive in the 1920s? The answer to that was almost none. There was almost zero people out there in the 1920s that were vegans, that were eating just vegetable-based, no meat, no protein. So if the only problem with, again, somebody getting cancer and heart disease was because we introduced meat, guys, you're missing the whole boat there.
Well, let's even take Ansel Keys is the godfather of giving out wrong information. Yeah, Look up Ansel Keys and the truth, okay? It was in the 1950s, late 1950s, he talked about how heart disease was because of fat, right? But this was also the time where TV dinners were coming out, where processed foods, fast foods, McDonald's.
Well, and he picked his countries that he did his studies on, right? Yeah. Like he eliminated Switzerland, he eliminated Germany, he eliminated some of those big ones that consumed a lot of fat.
But the reason he did the studies is because heart disease and heart attacks were rising exponentially in the U.S. at a time where the invention of fast food, both outside the house and inside the home, like this is where cereal came to be. And it was amazing because it was fast and it was easy and it was void of nutrients and, processed bread. And so here in this era, we created all these high carb, high sugar foods. And so he goes and picks out these countries, cherry picks them to prove his point that it's fat, even though all we're eating is processed food and sugar. And a perfect example of that is, I want to give you this, okay? Let's look at the animals that we keep domesticated in our homes, okay? Let's look at dogs. Right now, dogs aren't really eating the meat that they should be eating. Dogs should be eating freaking raw meat. If you let a dog out like a wolf, they're going to go kill something and eat it. Their stomach acid is so much higher than a human one. They can break it down without any problem, right? But what do we freaking give dogs? We give them dog food, which
Cereal.
started in the same time as cereal started booming in the 1950s. We're giving them this processed kibble and bits crap, right? And what has been happening to our dogs? The same thing that's happening to you. They're getting cancer. They're getting arthritis.
Diabetes.
They're getting diabetes. They're not freaking eating butter and eggs and chicken. And they're eating the processed crap that we're eating, and they're getting sick.
I'm only laughing because, we live in a world right now where our dogs are getting diabetes. Our veterinarians are no longer having to worry about your dog is getting bit by a snake or
raccoon.
Something. It's like literally, we've got to get some insulin because your dog has freaking diabetes.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
But that's a perfect example. Any other animal, we would look at their environment and say, oh, this is why they're dying, this is why they're going extinct. But not the human animals, not us. We're way too advanced. We can keep on eating our carbs and our gluten and our processed crap, and we're fine. But all those other animals, their environment affects them. And I'll never forget, my best friend, back when I started school, her little dog, it was a little lassie dog, but it was really fat, okay? Yeah. It was like a fat lassie dog. And I will never forget, she called me when I was at school, and I was really understanding how functional nutrition works within the body and how healing it is, and that we need to step away from this processed crap and carbs and stuff. So she called me and said that her dog had cancer, and I think they told her that a couple of weeks and, to live, but those couple of weeks are going to be horrible, or a couple of weeks, couple months, or whatever. And so I told her, I was like, then stop feeding the dog food. That's not ever going to heal or support, her last few months on earth. Just feed the dog what you eat, because she ate well. I was like, just whatever you make yourself, give it to the dog. Yeah. And she started doing that. That stinking dog lived for 3 or 4 more years. She lost weight. It got to the point where she couldn't move. She couldn't go up and down the stairs. She was just kind of lay there on the ground. She was going up and down the stairs. Her life was completely transformed because of the foods that you eat. Yes. And if you think the dogs are getting heart disease and cancer because they're eating a lot of, eggs, because most of the dog food is mostly grains.
That's right.
If you think it's because they're eating eggs and fish
meat.
and meat, they're not, because the meat and kibbles and bits or whatever, the buffalo blue, even the organic ones, it's still processed cereal that you're giving your dog.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, and again, that's what we're treating our bodies the same exact way. We're saying, okay, how can we get this amount of processed food because it's easier, because we don't have time to cook, so we're going to take in all this processed food, but yet we still want to achieve health, and it just doesn't work that way, right? Mm-hmm. Just like dogs and their DNA is designed to eat in a certain way, our DNA, our cells, our bodies are designed to eat a certain way. And so what we have to do is we have to say, okay, let's look at the physiology of what our body's made of, right? Mm-hmm. So let's kind of just take it back. If we want to think about what is our body intended to eat, let's just take a step back and let's say, okay, what are we made out of? So when we look at our cells and we break down the physiology of our cells, what do we encounter first when we come across a cell? What's the membrane of the cell made out of?
Fat.
It's made out of fat. So that should let you know right there, if you're made out of cells and your fat and your cells are made out of fat, guess what you should probably consume in your diet? Fat. Now, not all fat is created equal.
Not all fat is created equal, guys.
And I know we got to take a break, so I'm going to leave you with a cliffhanger. And when we get back, we're going to talk about how fat differs. What type of fat do we want? What type of fat do we want to avoid, literally like the plague, like the coronavirus, right? What do we want to avoid, like the coronavirus, right? And so we're going to dive into that when we get back. But for those of you that say, you know what, I hear what you're saying, and I'm ready to make a change, and I'm tired of being, literally just, wasting away, put on medication, feeling like junk, my hormones are down, I'm not able to, enjoy my spouse, I'm not able to, have fun with my kids, I can't bend down to play with my grandkids, I can't do all of these different types of things.
Blood sugar issues.
Hormone imbalance, thyroid issues, heart disease, cancer, whatever those things are, guys. In our office, it's designed to look at you as an individual and say, what can we do to allow your body to heal at its fullest capacity? And when it does that, it's pretty stinking amazing to see how your body responds. It was designed that way, and it's super cool. So if you want one of those appointments, guys, instead of $120 to come in and see us, again, on the radio show, we do it for a special, so it's only $45. If you want to get in touch with Mary Beth, that number is 423-362-5360. Again, that's 423-362-5360. And when we get back, we're going to talk about fat. Get ready.
Woo!
All right, guys. So, talking about fat for just a second, because again, what I'm trying to do is break it down for you guys from a cellular level. This is where nutrition really started to make sense to me, is when you start looking at the physiology of the body and the way it's designed. So when we're looking at our cells, our cell membrane is made of fat. It's made of fat, it's made of fat, it's made of fat. If you remove all fat from your diet, again, we are starving what builds you up, period. You're starving your cells. Also, too, you're starving your brain, because we know, again, studies show anywhere from like 60 to 75% of your brain is made of fat and cholesterol. So we know fat is vitally important to our overall health and to our bodies in general. Now, when we're talking about fat around the cell, there are specific types of fat that help to build up our cell membrane, and specific types of fat that actually destroy our cell membrane, which makes you insulin resistant, which makes you resistant to things like thyroid hormone, create thyroid issues, which makes you, resistant to all sorts of different, hormones, from testosterone to estrogen to progesterone, all of the above. So we have to make sure that we're paying attention to the type of fat that we're consuming on a regular basis. And here's what's amazing about this. When I'm first starting to work with a patient, especially in the realm of kids, because I love to work with kids and parents, of kids, one of my primary goals is I take them on about a 60 to 120 day, depends on, the kind of the realm of chronic disease or the type of symptoms they're dealing with. But I'll take them anywhere from about 2 to 4 months worth of a cell membrane healing protocol, which means that I am loading their diet with all kinds of good healthy fats. So that means we're not only am I having them eat that, I'm having them put it in smoothies, I'm having them pour it on their food, I'm having to take them in supplement form, and we are absolutely bombarding their bodies with good healthy fat. And here's the reason why. So if we look at our cell membrane and we look at it made of fat, here's what I want you guys to remember. I don't know if you remember being a kid and actually putting like a drop of like food coloring in like a big bowl of water, but you put a drop of food coloring in a big bowl of water and you see that color like kind of disperse, right, throughout. So let's say you put some red dye in that water, you see it disperse throughout the water and it gives it like a little pink like tint to it, right? So think of that little red drop as bad fat. So if that's bad, damaging fat, things like rancid, vegetable oil, canola oil, things like even rancid genetically modified grapeseed oil, maybe it's things like, certain types of like rancid peanut oil, all of these different types of bad fat that we're coming across. And so we're consuming that conventional dairy that's been pasteurized, homogenized. So what ends up happening is that's like that red drop in the water. So it gets dispersed throughout our cell membrane. The more that happens, the more rigid that cell membrane becomes, and it actually blunts and damages the receptors that bind to your hormones. Now here's the problem, and here's where it comes into play. If you were taking that same example I gave you with the red drop in the water that disperses throughout the water, in order to heal your cell membrane, if that bowl of water is your cell membrane, the only way you can do it is if you took like a dropper of water and you added drops of water into that bowl of water. And what happens is over time, you finally get rid of that pink tint that was there from that red drop. And so what I'm saying is when you're adding this good healthy fat in, it takes time. We know that bad fat has been shown, rancid trans fat has been shown to create 132 days worth of cell dysfunction. Yes, just a little bit of rancid bad fat can create 132 days worth of cell dysfunction. And so you have to ask yourself this really critical, very hard question to ask yourself. Have you ever been almost 4 months, right, without consuming any bad fat at all? That means when you go out to eat at a restaurant, that means, when you're consuming any type of like processed food, when you're taking a supplement, are you looking to make sure that you are not getting any rancid and trans fat? Because if you are damaging those cell membranes and making it very, very hard to heal the body. All right, guys, welcome back. This is Wellness Radio. I am your health expert, Dr. Nathan Warren. I'm here with my beautiful wife, Dr. Rebecca Warren.
Hello.
We're talking about nutrition, and specifically, we were talking about, before we left on break, we were talking about fat. And so if you're not on Facebook Live, you should definitely get on Facebook Live, because we talk all during the break, and we go through some extra information. And I was really diving into the realm of fat and how, yes, it makes a difference the type of fat that you consume, because that type of fat that you consume make up you. They make up your cells, they make up your cell membranes. And so, yes, that means just a little bit of that canola oil that Whole Foods puts in their hot bar. Yes, it damages your cells. Even a teaspoon, Dr. Nathan, especially a teaspoon of it, it absolutely damages the cell membrane. What about, but every now and then I like that, what is that, that fried tofu that Whole Foods has over there. Every time I look at that, every time I look at that, I'm like, dude, that's an absolute like cancer bomb to somebody's health right there. It actually tastes pretty good, but it's like a cancer bomb.
You can't. All right, guys, don't get offended.
I might.
Not you.
Oh, okay.
If you're listening to this, guys, don't get offended. You cannot pray over your food and ask God to bless this food to your body when you're putting in known carcinogens, known processed things.
It's good.
You're putting in bad fat that stays within your body for months. When I first heard, I think I heard a pastor say that from the stage, and I was like, I'm stealing that, because it's so true. We have the ability, I'm doing this devotional, we have this ability to have a relationship with our food. And in this devotional, it took food throughout the Bible, like fish and figs and bread, even how they grew bread. So each chapter, it talked about how this food was not only community within families in their entire town, but it was medicinal, it was healing, like olive oil, good olive oil, and how the food, like the act of getting that food, working for that food, that people used it in a way that it allowed their bodies to heal. We have complete disconnection. When you go to Wendy's or McDonald's, you don't even think twice about the food that you're scarfing down as you're driving and running around and giving your kids the fries in the background. And then we wonder why we feel like crap and we're creating this disease.
It just reminded me of what I said to a patient the other day, because I had a patient, it's just not this last Tuesday, but the Tuesday before, that said, but Dr. Nathan, but Jesus ate bread, right? Jesus ate bread. I immediately responded, he also walked on the water and rose from the dead. So when you can do those two things, you can consume bread and not feel bad about it, okay? Bottom line is this.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. It's not the same at all. It's not even close to the same. And you know what? If we lived in a world, right, where we were completely bombarded by, one study showed about 80,000 chemical toxins on a yearly basis. That was from a 2012 study. And then also, too, with the amount of, again, damaging fats, processed sugar, processed foods that were kind of embarked on today, and the amount of stress that we're under on a like basically a minute by minute basis. If you weren't dealing with all of that kind of stuff, you know what? You could probably consume some really good quality bread and do absolutely fantastic, because your gut microbiome and your digestive system were probably prepared for that. Well, it wasn't Wonder Bread at all. It was like, the least processed bread that you could possibly buy, and there was no such thing as spraying junk on your food, and again, no genetically modified issues, no rancid herbicides and things like that. So it was a completely different animal back in the day. So bottom line is, guys, you don't live in that world anymore. So guess what? That means we have to adapt. Right? Mm-hmm. And the key to health overall is adaptation. And so how do we adapt? We can adapt via our diet and our nutrition. We can adapt via making sure that our body is capable of adapting with our hypothalamus and our nervous system working well. And part of that adaptation comes from consuming enough good healthy fat, because your brain is made of fat. And so if you are damaging the brain, you're damaging your hypothalamus, which controls your stress response. So we have to consume good healthy fat. I think we beat that horse to
Yes,
death.
good,
Right?
healthy fat.
What are your favorite good healthy fats?
I love MCT oil.
That's a good one.
Yeah, so medium chain triglycerides. We use brain octane. It's kind of like what makes coconut oil so good, but it's an efficient, quick way to kind of feed your brain and feed your liver.
Yep.
So brain octane, it's liquid. Don't take more than the recommended on the bottle, or else you're going to have a lot of bad poop. But it clears out your stomach if you take too much. But I love it because it's a fast way. It'll burn up like carbs, but it's producing ketone bodies, especially if you're trying to get your body into ketosis.
Yep.
So I really, really love MCT oil. I really like goat milk, yogurt, and kefir. And so we use goat or sheep or buffalo because it's A2 casein, which is less inflammatory, less mucus producing. It's pretty much, people that have issues with milk, they do well on this stuff. I love yogurt and kefir because it's a quick way that myself and the kids can get natural forming probiotics into our bellies.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to have like this creamy snack. Rosie will have it with raw local honey, and Elijah will have it with stevia, and Nyla will have it with stevia too.
Yeah.
So those are my 2 ways. And boiled eggs.
Yeah.
Lots of eggs. What?
Pasture-raised
Eggs aren't
eggs,
bad?
yeah.
Yeah. How about get pasture-raised eggs, a.k.a. eggs that are in a pasture. Like I feel so silly saying grass-fed and wild-caught and pasture-raised.
Yeah.
But sadly, we have to say that.
Yeah, for sure. And you can find those from a local farmer, guys. They're all over the place. Like, literally, you can find them I know here in Chattanooga, you can go to a local farmer's market. I know the Main Street Farmer's Market on
Main Street
Wednesdays.
Farmers Market, yeah.
There's one in Ottawa that I've heard is fantastic, where you can actually get, you can get all kinds of different. I think I had a patient bring me some raw butter the other day.
Yo,
Oh my
our
gosh, it was
practice
so good.
members are the stinking best.
Yeah, they are the
They
best.
bring us healthy chocolate
Yeah.
and eggs and chicken and wine. I mean, like, they know our love language,
Yeah.
which is good food. So
That's
I love
right.
it.
Wait, you can have all those things and be
Yes.
healthy? Yes, you
All of
can.
those
Right?
things.
It's exciting. And my favorite healthy fats, olive oil, real olive oil. So real olive oil is absolutely fantastic. We were reading an article the other day. Not all olive oil is created equal. So you have to make sure, number one, it's got to say extra virgin on it. Did you guys know if it just says virgin or if it just says light, or that means it did not pass the standards, right, of olive oil. So international standards to actually be considered really good quality olive oil. So it has to be extra virgin. It needs to be organic because, again, you don't want your olives sprayed down with a bunch of crap. And then the other thing that you really want to look for is the harvest date. Because
Yeah,
if
that's
that
a big
harvest
one.
date, if that harvest date is outside of about a year, again, you're probably getting a pretty rancid oil. You're not actually getting one that's full of all kinds of antioxidants and polyphenols.
So olive oil goes bad.
It does.
It goes rancid the longer it sits. And I mean, I was guilty of this too. We would get our olive oil from Costco. But we use a lot of olive oil.
Yeah.
Or drink the crap. But if you have olive oil sitting around with an open top or one of those open spouts, you're just letting the olive oil get rancid.
Good point. That's a really good point. And actually, too, we've been coming across this lately. We actually read a study the other day, and I can actually say that, I was partly wrong about this. And looking at if you actually get
Side note. We are admitting that we're changing our mind on something. Okay.
Yeah.
But let me go.
But
Before you say this, what we should always acknowledge is that we should never stray away from how us humans have been doing things for centuries when we weren't sick. Okay, so go ahead and share what you know now.
Yeah, so like for a long time we were telling people, don't cook with olive oil, don't cook with olive oil, don't do it. But now I actually read a study the other day where they compared cooking oils, right? And they actually looked at and saw some of the oxidative damage to the fat. And actually olive oil scored the highest.
Some people are listening and they're like,
I know.
what? I wasn't supposed to cook with olive oil.
I know. Hold on. I'm not done yet.
Yeah.
I got some butts in here that I'm about to hit. So, olive oil can be a great thing to use, right? It can be fantastic. You can cook with it if it's fresh olive oil, which here in America, most of you guys are not able to get fresh olive oil. Actually, most of the time we're not even able to get, really fresh olive oil. We have to literally go out of our way to actually order it to make sure that it's coming within less than a year. Casadrinos is a good one that you can get.
Casadrinos online is a good place to get it.
And they do it within the last 6 months, so it's fresh.
And don't get any oils. I know a lot of you guys are trying to go all vegan for the new year. Don't freaking get butter and oil and olive oil mixed with canola oil. It's genetically modified. Even it's non-GMO. It's a rapeseed. It's so inflammatory, guys. So we have to go on break here. Remember, guys, you can find us on Facebook at Doctors Warren. You can go to doctorswarren.com. And if you would like one of our special appointment times with us, we'll walk with wherever you're at, and we put plans together to help you reach your goals, whether that's to get out of pain, stop having headaches, lose weight, balance your hormones, or to feel like a man again. That number is 423-362-5360. Again, it's just 45 instead of 120. The number is 423-362-5360.
All right, so before you guys freak out and everybody goes home and cooks with olive oil, again, let me make this kind of disclaimer here, okay? If it's not fresh, organic, extra virgin olive oil, I would not cook with it. Maybe if you are getting it directly from a source that is literally fresh pressed, within the last 6 months, it's high quality, it's organic. Again, at least from the studies that I've read, it looks like you can cook with it. I still wouldn't do high heat, and I probably wouldn't even do medium high heat. I would do still low to medium heat. But from what I've read, again, because it's so powerfully packed with antioxidants and polyphenols, that the oxidative damage is really not as bad as some of the other fats that are out there. And so again, that's my disclaimer. If you're just using the olive oil that you picked up at, Whole Foods or Earth Fare, more than likely, again, I still wouldn't cook with it. I would still lean more towards my avocado oil or my grass-fed butter. But if you do have some fresh olive oil, again, I think that it's pretty safe to say that it can be healthy for you. And so, and to me, now it finally starts to make a little bit of sense, because you would hear about people that would go over to Europe, in places like Italy and Spain for literally hundreds of years. They've used olive oil to cook and bake with and all of these different things. And I would always wonder, why is it that their heart disease rates are decreased, their cancer rates, all of these different things, if they're cooking with this oil and it's creating oxidative damage. But now we know, right? It's because it's real fresh pressed olive oil that's chocked full of all the amazing all the amazing antioxidants and polyphenols that and again, it hasn't been exposed to high amounts of oxygen. So there you go. Look at that. And so sometimes we can learn new things, and we can go back and we can say, hey, you know what? I wasn't fully right about that. But when we come across some really good scientific literature, we can say, okay, well, let's start implementing that a little bit. But I still think, regardless of being able to cook with it, I still think the best way to get olive oil into the body is via, again, in its raw form, right? It's going to be even better in its raw form. So we like to use olive oil to pour on our food, on our salads, to pour on, just anything that we're consuming. Actually, when we're not feeling well, when we're expressing health and we have symptoms, we will actually do I'll do a tablespoon or a teaspoon of olive oil, medicinally as well, because it is such a powerful tool, and it's been utilized for thousands of years. And so that's my favorite form of fat. So my other favorite forms of fat, avocados are a big, one of my favorites. Now I will say not one of my favorites from a taste standpoint, but one of my favorites from a nutrient dense standpoint. It's one of the only foods on the planet, actually maybe the only food on the planet, that actually has this amazing fat content with chlorophyll, which makes it green, which is a powerful tool for getting rid of oxidative stress and damage on our cells. And then also too, it's got antioxidants and carotenoids, kind of like fruit and vegetables would have in it. So it has all three of those in one. So I love avocados. I think that's a really amazing healthy fat. Macadamia nuts are something that, again, we also try to get on a regular basis. Brazil nuts, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds. When we were doing our man event, I did that the other day. I guess it was probably 2 weeks ago now. And as I'm going through what's healthy for testosterone, prostate, what's healthy for building muscle, burning fat, there were certain ones that were in all of those lists, and they usually contain good healthy fat. Like wild-caught salmon was in every list. Things like, again, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, and Brazil nuts were in every single one of my lists there. And so really you get massive amounts of minerals, vitamins, nutrients, and good healthy fat when you consume those types of nuts and seeds as well on a regular basis. And I will say this, you actually get some healthy omega-6 fat from that. And so I wanted to touch on that for just a minute, because we hear in our society that omega-3s are the way that we have to go, but omega-6 are important as well too when you're getting it in an unadulterated form, like from raw nuts and seeds, or in its cold pressed form as well too. All right, guys, welcome back. This is your health expert, Dr. Nathan Warren. I'm here with my beautiful wife, Dr. Rebecca Warren. And so we've been talking about nutrition, right, to heal the body. And yes, nutrition can heal the body. There's no doubt about it, guys. When you're talking about, utilizing certain types of food to work on healing the body, guys, it was designed that way, So again, here's some rules. No matter what type of diet you follow, you've got to make sure that you're consuming a lot of good, healthy fat. So yes, that means even if you are, all plant-based, or even if you consume, good healthy meat, you still need to consume good healthy fat on a regular basis, because your brain, your cells are made up of that. Your hormones are made up of that. So we really want to consume high amounts of that. We want to consume lots of antioxidant and polyphenol-rich foods. So things like, your wild berries, blueberries, strawberries, blackberries, all that kind of good stuff. Your cruciferous vegetables, cooking those and eating those on a regular basis, dark leafy greens, your good fat from nuts and seeds. And so if you consume a high amount of those, all of a sudden, like right now, your body's going to start doing some amazing things right there, because those are also nutrient dense. Use good healthy fat on your food, like olive oil, like grass-fed butter, MCT oil, cooking with avocado oil, or fresh pressed organic extra virgin olive oil. Again, not on high heat, but like more to like medium heat.